Dude. Welcome to Panfish Nation. My name is Mark, co-host of the great Lyle Stokes. And I wanted to take a second here to apologize for last week, folks. We didn't have a show because I didn't think it was a good idea. I was pretty upset, to say the least, and about the occurrences that happened here with Charlie Kirk. I didn't think it was a good idea to have a show because I was just pretty upset. Not the way you think. More angry is probably be the thing. And I thought it'd be better that we didn't have the show. That being said, I just want to say rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Watch your backs, folks. Also, don't believe what you hear online. I've been reading all sorts of garbage and malarkey, and I don't know how else to say it without using cuss words, but it's a lot of gaslighting going on, and protect yourself and your family. And look above for protection. That being said, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're back. How you doing, Lyle?
Good, man.
Good?
Good.
Hold on a second. I turned the volume up because that intro we have is pretty loud. How's the weather over by you, bud?
Hot.
It's warm here. We got 80 degrees still, or 79 degrees. That's close enough to 80 for me.
Around 80 something here. I don't know. It went off. I just shut it down where the weather doesn't show up on my screen right now. But yeah, it's been around 90 the last several days or above for a few days. And but you know, it's okay.
It hasn't been too bad. My air conditioning came back on, and it's been on now for over a week. I've been awfully busy, haven't had a chance to get out to do any fishing, but it is what it is. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on fishing wise. I might be heading out tomorrow. If I do, I'll go live for everybody. So keep an eye on that on the Catfish and Crappie channel. I'd appreciate it if you showed up and kept me company if I go live, but we'll see. I think I'm catching a cold of all things, an end of summer cold, maybe. I don't know.
Summer colds are the worst.
Well, I guess it's still summer till the 22nd, at least for another 5 days, right?
That's right. Yep, that's a fact. I would like to say something. I got a message this afternoon, and we're going to be doing a show on Catfish Weekly Monday night dedicated to my good friend Paul Rags. Allison contacted me earlier today, and Paul has passed away, and it's a crying shame. He was him and I was great friends, and he come up with an idea. He was doing radio YouTube. I didn't even know there was such a thing, you know. And I was those days I was trying to record stuff and not being very successful because I didn't know anything about it. And I done a radio show with him, and next thing you know, we're doing Catfish Weekly. We added some people and got rid of some people. You know how things progress. But that's why we have Panfish Nation now, is because of Paul and him and I getting together and me building rods for him and him hooking them up to riding lawnmower and staking them in the ground, taking off, going down the hill with that lawnmower till the line broke. You know, stuff like crazy stuff. You know, but yeah, we're gonna miss Paul. He was a great guy, and Monday night show will be dedicated to Paul's memory, and anybody that's interested or knew Paul or wants to know things about it. There's not going to be a funeral, but there'll be a thing later in the spring, is what Allison told me. So if you're interested, you can message me and I'll fill you in as I find out the information.
I think that's a great idea, great way to honor a friend. And from what I understand and what I remember, you guys are friends, obviously, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
you had mentioned hooking rods up to lawnmowers and stuff. I've seen stuff like that ever since, probably, right?
Yeah, he was him and the guy that used to run Catfish One got into a big argument. Well, he got into an argument with Steve Douglas and everybody else. Steve Douglas called me one time begging to get me to get Paul off his ass, you know, because he was really, well, he was out of line, to be quite honest. But anyhow, Paul made a video of a rod that he was trying to sell, and it cast 40 ounces of weight. And Paul took a rod that I built him and just kept adding weight to it and casting it over a clothesline. He got up to 100 ounces and cast it over a clothesline. And I think he finally edited it out of the video, but at one point he says, "Now, Paul, why don't you build something this damn good?" It was hilarious. And that was the same video where he put a rod holder in the ground, put that rod in it, got on his ride, took off down the hill, bent the rod holder, broke the line. He was using 65-pound braid. It's hilarious. It's still up somewhere, but I have
Yeah, pretty cool.
time now.
And people, just a reminder, you can always go over to Catfish Weekly and you can hit the lives tab up at the top and probably go way back in time and check out some of the first Catfish Weekly stuff. I've done that in the past. Lyle had mentioned a show. I'll go back and watch it, and it's pretty cool stuff to see everybody on there from back in the day. So that's what us old guys do. We sit around and reminisce, don't we, Lyle?
We do. I had a guy contact me here a while back that told me that he just found Catfish Weekly, and it was last fall, and he sat in a deer stand and he watched every episode from the first one on, and I found that very intriguing. So people still do go back and watch the old ones.
Tells me he didn't get a deer if he spent all that time watching in the stand.
That's how I learned how to text, because I couldn't text. Didn't want to know how to text. Didn't give a damn about texting. And my son Marky was deer hunting over the hill for me. He had a stand, and I had a stand up on top of the hill. And he'd send me these texts. And my God, he'd send them so fast I didn't even much want to get them read. I'm trying to find them buttons, and he'd send me 2 or 3 more before I got the first one answered. But that's how I learned how to text on a phone, was sitting in a deer stand, him sending me messages. Here comes a deer. Here comes a deer. Crazy stuff like that. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention. V is doing a Golden Whisker Award show tomorrow night, and she is having everybody that has been nominated for guests, or trying to have as many as she can, as guest on for show. Tomorrow night's my night in the box. So if you're not busy and you happen to think about it, jump in there and help support the Golden Whisker Awards. People have mixed feelings about award shows of all kinds. In our community, I find this very prestigious. I think it's an honor to be nominated for awards of any kind. But this particular one has a lot to do with just catfishing, and when you get nominated for what I consider a big award, it's really an honor just to be nominated. If you win or not doesn't really matter. Just the people think enough for you, they put your name out there to have a chance at it. So if you're not terribly busy, you might jump in there tomorrow night, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun.
It's 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, if I'm not mistaken, over on V's channel. If one of the mods could post the link to V's channel, or if she's got the live set up, that would be cool too. And also, reminder, we're nominated for an award in the show too, aren't we, Lyle? For the cooking category.
Are we really?
I believe we were nominated. I don't know how that went or how it goes, but
I don't know either. I hadn't heard.
Yeah,
but
we were nominated. Awesome. Getting texts from your daughter.
I have to say that in my mind, the cooking show that we done was probably one of the best cooking videos of any kind that I'd seen in a long time. Now, not that some of the others ain't really good, because they are, but I thought you done a really bang up job. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. We had a lot of fun doing that, so it was cool that somebody remembered that watched it. That was pretty cool. What do you say? I say hello to everybody, Lyle.
Let's do it.
We got a bunch of people in here today. 31 people watching. Right on. Thanks for coming in, everybody. 922 Crappie Barbecue. How you doing, Bobby? What's going on? My brother Brandon Cross. What's up, Brandon? They're out fishing on in Tennessee for the week. They're having a blast. Betty's been sending me lots of pictures of food and fish and all sorts of stuff. They're having a good time. Good to see it. There's my buddy Bugman, says he's in the car. How you doing, Cindy? Cindy Stokes in the house. What's up, Cindy? Crappie Day Darren in the house. Greg Burgess. I think he said it was like 84 degrees by him. That's pretty warm still. It must be a cold front for them down there, though. He's used to that.
82 here. You just popped back
82. Up. Joe Buck 66 channel supporter. What's going on, Joe Buck? How you doing? Heather Stokes in the house. How you doing, Heather? John Boy's catfishing. How you doing, John Boys? Parker Pursuits. I see pictures from them from fishing down in Memphis. What is it? What was the tournament in Memphis?
Mississippi River Monsters.
Mississippi River Monsters. I think him and Danny had some problems. Or no, Danny and Richard had some fire problems in the boat. Yeah. Everybody was all right. I heard about that. Danny got bit by a snake. He's got to send us the video. I heard. What's up, Ernest? River at 3030. How you doing, Ernest? There's Josh. He's enjoying margaritas. Frank over at Twisted Fishing TV. There's V right there. V Smith in the house. If somebody posted that link, I'd appreciate it. If you haven't, there's Want to Be Outdoors channel supporter is another one. Thank you for coming in, folks. We appreciate having you every week.
Absolutely. Matt says it's a hot, chilly 101 there in Arkansas. You can have all that. I don't have any need for that whatsoever. If it never reaches 100 degrees again, it'll be too soon. Same with 0, though.
When I was a real young man, one of my fishing mentors, Mr. Edward Zink, he was a great guy. He had some property down in Arkansas. We went down there one summer, and it was over 100 degrees the whole time we were down there. So
miserable weather.
It was a good time. No. Aggravate me. Josh lives to aggravate.
It is not just you.
I'm not saying, I didn't say me. I said Josh lives to aggravate, period.
Oh yeah, he does. He does.
Bugman says I'm going to have to pass at 100. Heck, 85 is too hot. I'm with you, Buggy.
I agree 100%.
So what are water temperatures like around people in chat? If you've been out fishing, what are water temperatures where you're at? That's what I'm really curious about, because that's going to have a big effect on this fall fishing bite or not.
Low to mid 80s, high 70s, low to mid 80s. This depends on where you're at, how deep the water is, and if it's got current or not. All them things factor into it. But
when I was out on the Wisconsin River, what was it, like a week and a half ago? Water temp was like 68 degrees already. But that's deep. That was deep and moving pretty quick, and that was after like 5 days of cold front. It probably came up a little bit yet, so we'll see. But your favorite fish are starting to bite up there. Sturgeon season's open up on the Wisconsin River. I saw Jerry Hohausen went sturgeon fishing with his grandson. They got onto a couple of real nice ones over there.
They're okay.
Congratulations to them too.
I don't have any need for them, but the reason I don't have any need for them is because of the wasted money that Missouri Department of Conservation has spent on trying to preserve lake sturgeon. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to go extinct, who are we to judge what Mother Nature chooses? If it's time for them to be gone, then let them go. Instead of spending millions and millions of dollars to build a canal from the Missouri River to the Mississippi River so they have a place to go in there and breed. Nobody gives a shit about that. And they don't use it after they spend all that money. The sturgeon don't even go in there and use it. So
yeah, I don't know anything.
That's what I got against sturgeon. That's what I got against sturgeon.
I've got no problem with sturgeon. Stocking programs are always good. I don't know how it is in Missouri and stuff, but a fish that old that dams and stuff or have a lot to do with
they do.
their spawning and stuff. I think that maybe as a people have something we can do. I mean, we stock everything we stock bass, Lyle. If we can stock bass, we can stock sturgeon.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't do the bass thing. The only time I catch one's when it's by accident. So
I don't try to catch them. I consider bass a trash fish. I don't care to eat them that much. I can't use them for bait, so they're no good to me.
You know, let's talk about that here real quick. I think I don't target bass. I have catch bass just like you, Lyle. But you have to admit one thing: they're a target fish, or a gateway fish, I should say.
They're fun to catch.
A bunch of kids love catching bass. They really do. They're not patient enough. They're not patient enough to wait for big catfish. You can catch them in ponds down the street from your house. They get fairly big, but a lot of them move on to trophy catfish. They move on to like doing crappie tournaments, things like that. So we got to give them their due, obviously.
One thing about bass that I think a lot of the reason that people like to catch them is because you're doing something all the time. You're casting, you're reeling, you're changing baits, you're doing this, you're doing that. And if you got any extra money, you can go to Bass Pro and you can buy a new and better, different plug every day of the week, because they come out with one constantly. Somebody will come up with an idea. Some of them work, some of them don't. Doesn't make any difference. But it's an endless supply of a place to spend your money.
And people do spend their money. They're catching fishermen all the time.
That's exactly right. And just like I said about so much of the catfish industry, and it applies to all fish, not just catfish. You catch more fishermen when you're buying stuff than you will fish. You're getting in somebody's pocket, and to get in their pocket, you got to catch their eye and get them to spend that money. So you're catching the fishermen to get them to buy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you spend more time tying jigs, rigging poles, shopping for gear, getting gear ready, putting gear away, taking gear out. You spend a lot more time doing that than you usually do fishing, if if I'm not mistaken. So
that's right.
I mean, there's a big market out there, and that has a lot to do with probably sponsorships and stuff, and certain sports. You can only spend so much money on hooks and weights when you're not using artificials. So that being said, that is a big deal.
Yeah, I see Solo Texas Adventures has joined us.
Hey, what's going on? What's up, Solo? How you doing? Greg says, Mark, right now the redfish are running good, waiting for the water temps to drop. So the special trout or the speckled trout will be moving in from the Gulf.
I think those redfish would be a lot of fun to catch. I really do.
They look like they fight like the Dickens, and that's
they do.
A good thing. I've been watching those sport fishing videos, and something about 100+ pound black marlin that really
that'd be okay too.
Yeah, they're crazy. Mark Barnum says caught a 4-foot pelagic sturgeon, pallid sturgeon last year on the Missouri on
a goldfish. That is crazy because usually they don't do that. But yeah, anything can happen. There's Allison Gabby has joined us. Air Run's joined us.
What's going on, Aaron? Says time to hit the crappie drawdowns.
Crappie drawdown.
I think when they're drawn down the water, it concentrates the fish.
I think you're right about that.
I think so.
I think you're right.
Frank says from Twisted Fishing TV, I can't make myself get hyped enough to fish bass tournaments. Bass are probably the easiest of North American game fish to catch consistently.
I agree. They are the easiest. They're easiest to catch consistently. There's Goober Time Guide Service. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, Dan? How you doing, bud? I used Dan's promo code and got me some of those alpha boards, Lyle, in the mail. So I'm looking forward to trying some of them. They seem pretty nice. That's like my third set of boards, which is ridiculous. I got my Uncle Lou boards, which I adore. I got some Freddy boards. They're great boards, but I wanted to try these just to save a little room in the boat. So if you guys need discount code on those, make sure you contact Dan. Dan, you can put your discount code in chat.
Absolutely. There's Chrissy Brown. Welcome, Chrissy.
Hi, Miss Chrissy. How you doing, dear? I'm kind of running behind in chat here, trying to make sure I don't miss anything.
Okay. That's normal, though. It's hard to keep up with all that. I see it live. As it rolls, I don't stop it and go on. Right there, Goober 10 for 10% off alpha boards. There you go.
Bingo. Mark, think about a 63-pound redfish. How would fight like a state record 45-minute sell? Oh, they caught one.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Wow.
crazy. You know, Jonathan over at Hooked Catfish, he went down to Louisiana and he got on the redfish and he caught some pretty close to that size. They're up there.
Wow.
They were 50 pounds or so, and they look like they're a heck of a lot of fun to catch. Good time too.
Jonathan catches a lot of fish. He catches a lot of flathead.
He's a maniac. He travels an awful lot now, I believe. So
good for him. Hey, River Rat 3030.
Ernest says, I have to go see the doctor tomorrow morning for my heart. Please keep me in your prayers. And thank you. God bless. We absolutely would. Folks, make sure you keep him in your prayers. So how you doing, Chrissy? And the Benoit Fishing Outdoors. Hello, ladies. I just wanted to say that to prove to you I remember how to say it right.
Matt says he wants to see you on a bonefish boat, standing on that platform, slinging a fly rod to him.
Matt, if you don't know this, but I've had my fly rod on my boat, and I'll tell you what, it's a heck of a lot easier to cast out of a boat with no weeds in front or behind you or next to you. Let me tell you, works out pretty well. Caught a couple of little fish, but it was fun. I'm by far an expert caster, but I still had fun doing it. So
it is a lot of fun. I got 3 of them in the truck all the time, but I've been on something else right now, hot and heavy, and I can't stop. And when they stop, I'll stop. You know what I mean? There's Leslie Bacon. Leslie has come up with some new baits, and she just put I guess it would be an ad, a promo out for them. Leslie, if you have a link to that, go ahead and post it in chat. If you guys are looking for some really good looking baits, give Leslie a holler. She ship them babies right out to you real fast. They're very reasonably priced, and everything that I ever got from her worked excellent. So give them a try.
V says fly fishing is an art and beautiful to watch.
It is, especially being somebody that's really good at casting.
Not this guy.
Well, the best thing to do is go to a fly shop and explain to them that most of the guys will go down there and help you out.
You know, I have a cousin who lived near here, a younger cousin, and he was always seeing my fishing pictures and always wanted to go fishing. He says, I never, because he's a heck of a lot younger than me. He's like 35 years younger than me. He's like, yeah, Mark, I didn't want to call and bother you. I'm like, you should have called and bothered me. Well, he moved to Colorado, and now he's a big fly fisherman out there. He's always posting pictures of all the fish he catches and stuff, and I'm pretty upset that he didn't call me and tell me he wanted to go fishing. So
maybe you go out there and fish for them trout out there.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of old to be walking up and down them mountains. I ain't gonna lie.
You don't have to. They got trout in all the lakes out there.
He goes up into the mountains. He hikes up there like 5-10 miles. And
yeah, I tell you how I hike up there is the same way I did when I went out there elk and deer hunting on horseback. That's about as much hiking as I'm going to do.
I've been watching a lot of hunting videos. We're going to have to talk about that after the show.
Matt. Matt posted Leslie's Facebook.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. John Boy says, have to have cataract surgery on my right eye tomorrow. Next time the left eye. Well, good luck with that. My mom just had that done, John Boys. It was pretty invasive. It wasn't too bad. So hopefully it'll be as easy for you as it was for my mother.
Yep, I had it done a few years ago. You get one done, you're a little uncomfortable that day, and the next day it's pretty much over, and that day after that, you don't even remember it. The difference that you'll notice is how much brighter everything is. It's amazing.
That's
And
what
a lot of times they put correctly lenses in there while they're in there, which I'm not real sold on that.
Did we say hello to Jerry? How you doing, Parker? If we
Hey,
didn't,
Jared.
Mark Barnum says fly fished for 40 years when he lived in Colorado. Have fly fished all over the West.
It's a lot of fun. It really is. I'm not a big trout fan, but I do like catching bluegill on fly.
Oh, let Matt send me a message. Why don't you read chat while I see what Matt sent me?
All right. V is welcoming the ladies in. Mark Barnum says, Mark, book a float trip on the Green River in Utah below Flaming Gorge. No walking. There you go.
Yeah, those float boats are pretty cool. I'm all in. All in on those. I saw a couple of float fishing videos where I'm trying to pull this up here so we can share what Matt gave us. Float fishing videos where they were in like small urban rivers, almost creeks in like New Jersey, and they were fly fishing for big pike because nobody fished there. So there was a lot of big pike there. They were fishing with streamers. It was cool stuff. Let me share this what Matt sent me here because this is pretty cool. Share screen. Got too many monitors here. Well, no such thing.
No.
There we go. Matt sent me that to share. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, that's a dandy.
That's pretty cool. Let's see what he says about
that's a great beer.
That's his buck that he got back from this year already. That looks pretty nice.
That's pretty good.
Pretty nice. Congratulations on that, Matt. Congratulations. All right. Let's there we go.
Buggy. Boogman says, I'm flat out too lazy for fly fishing, bass fishing, or anything that requires constant movement. I don't know about that. You probably get right into it if you get started. Smeater and Cedars, welcome. John Boy says, Lyle, have you been pan fishing lately? As a matter of fact, I have. I have been on the crappie as of late in a big way. Hi, Mike Irwin. Welcome to the show, buddy. I have been absolutely killing crappie. Big numbers. I had the biggest day of my life today, a number that I never thought obtainable, crappie fishing. I caught 80 yesterday and stopped and left biting fish because I had some things I needed to do. And, of course, the limit is 30. I've never, at that point, I never want to clean 30 fish, to be quite honest.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking the same thing.
But I would keep 10, 15, 20, enough for a meal, and have maybe an extra or two. 80 fish yesterday was unbelievable for me. And today was even better. I caught 103 crappie in 4 hours.
You're becoming a regular dockery.
Dockery who? It's amazing. I never thought you could catch that. I honest to God didn't. I really did not think you could catch that many crappie. But every cast, they're, just every cast. And all I'm doing is casting out, counting to 3, just 1, 2, 3, and then start reeling it in. And every once in a while, give it a little twitch. And you can't keep them off. I've never seen fishing like this before. Never seen it like this. And when I left today to go clean way more than I wanted to, they were still biting. Now, how long they bit after that, I don't know. Hell, they may still be biting for all I know. But they're oriented just like we've talked many times, Mark. They're oriented around structure. You find the structure that they're on. In my case, it was a brush pile, but they're not in the brush pile. Well, I assume they're not because I went over that brush pile and over it, and never get bit. But you fish the outside edges of it, and that's where you would catch the fish. And I will show you what I was catching them on. This little booger right here was pretty good for me. Now, it wasn't the best thing that I had, but I caught a lot of fish on this. And that's
Let me
what,
give you the solo layout here, Lyle.
what is that, Mark? 1.25 inches long, probably? A little over that, maybe 1.5 inches. I'm not sure. Leslie would probably know how long they are. She makes these.
Is that a Miss Bacon one, or is that one of Jason's? I think that's one of Jason's, isn't it?
This is one of Jason's, but Leslie makes some that's very, very similar.
Yeah, I think that's like the 1 3/4 if you got that from Jason.
Yeah, it is. And I've got a bunch of stuff coming from Leslie. I can't wait to get it. This probably caught, in the last 2 days, probably caught 75 crappie. That's a hand tie. It's been very productive. Last week, stuff like this was the only thing that they'd bite. Pink was the action last week. Just you couldn't not. And now this week they're still biting it, but not like it was. But this little dude right here, and Leslie's sending me some of these, so I can't wait. That baby right there, and I used it with a gold head, with a black head, with a red head. Didn't seem to matter. But that baby right there was fire right now. I mean, it's unbelievable how many fish I caught on that. I never thought that I would use one of these baits and have to take it off because it was wore out. I lost this much of a tail on one. It was just a nub sticking out, and they still hit me. And I never took it off until it kept sliding off the hook so bad that it wouldn't stay up when you'd push it up on there. And I took it off and put another one on at that point because there was no sense. They wouldn't. I don't guess they was paying attention to the tail, but it has just been unbelievable how many fish has come off of that blue. And I guess that's blue and light blue, or monkey milk, or I don't know what the hell it is. Mark, you tell me.
It's pretty close to that. It looks like a natural color to mimic natural minnows.
It is. It's really, really hot. The gold head versus the black head versus the red head, I really couldn't tell any difference. I think they're looking at body colors more than they are anything else. But I know one thing. A few days ago, I was catching them on green bodies, and you can't get a bite on a green body today. Because when I'd break off, I'd try something different. It wasn't very many casts. I was putting what was working back on there. The green just wasn't getting it. And 2 or 3 days ago, I was catching as many on that as I was on that blue one, but not today. And people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter what color it is." It does to crappie. It matters to crappie.
Mike's got a question for you. It says, Lyle, do you have any tips on being successful using a micro setup?
I like using ultralight stuff, and these I consider this a micro bait. Now I have some that's smaller than this. I use those for bluegill, which you can catch crappie on too. But this little dude right here, that body is about, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch, and then the tail. But that thing's fire. And if you got it on a 1/64 or 1/32 ounce jig head, whatever that you can cast a reasonable distance and let it sink down to the depth the fish are at, and then just as slow as you can reel it back. And what I try to do, especially if I'm on structure, is reel it back just fast enough to keep it off the structure. Because this lake has a lot of brush in it, not just brush, but I mean weeds and stuff. And they're along the bottom. And you let it go to the bottom, you're losing stuff. So I let it sink just as close to the bottom as I can without it getting in the bottom, the weeds and stuff. And they just, it's unbelievable. I would have, if somebody had told me you could go out and catch 100 crappie a day, and I know James has done it, and Josh got on gills one day and caught 100 and some, but you know, that stuff just don't happen for me, but it did today.
Look at this. River Rat 3030 says, Mr. Lyle is the crappie king.
I don't know about that, but I have had a blast with them the last few days, and they're damn tasty, I'll tell you. And most of the crappie that we're catching or that I'm catching is, I don't know, 9 inches. I try not to take nothing that's under 9 inches because there isn't as much on them. But some of them are really thick at 8.5, 9 inch. They're really thick. Others are real skinny and not very thick through the body. And those go back. I mean, I want enough to, well, if I got to go to all the trouble cleaning them suckers, I want enough there to eat. You know what I mean?
I do, which is, you know, why I really like having a live well in my boat, because I can always take one out of that live well.
Yeah.
So if it's a 9 incher, it's going in there. If I start catching a lot more than that, like I was when I was on the Wisconsin River, that week and a half ago, that's exactly what I did. I took some of the smaller ones out. So I was happy with the 14 that I took home with me.
Oh yeah. I don't mind cleaning 12 or 14, Mark, but I done more than that today. Today was the first time in my life that I ever took home and cleaned a limit of crappie. I get 2 meals out. I never kept a limit because I didn't want to clean a damn thing. I don't like cleaning fish. Matt and I have talked about that at the time.
I'm not a fan either.
I don't like doing it, but
I've had channel cat in my live well that I wanted to take home and fillet, right? After a bunch of hours of fishing, I get back to the bow ramp. I'm like,
yeah,
no. Go right back in the water sometimes. So definitely. Matt wants to know what size jig head you were using.
1/32 of an ounce.
1/32. Now, what I learned with and SK kind of tipped me off to this. If you're using too big a jig head, you're affecting obviously the how far you can cast, right? Which is obvious. The drop rate.
The drop rate's very important.
That's very important. Also, when a fish inhales the hook, if you're using too small a weight bait, you might not be able to tell if you're getting hits even. So you kind of got to keep all of that in mind when you're selecting jig heads once you get dialed in. What I like to do if I'm using like a really small, like a 1/80th ounce or 1/60th ounce jig head, is I'll bend that hook out a little bit. And sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll get snagged on the way out when they inhale and exhale that bait. That definitely helps. So,
you know, Mark, I had an episode, you was talking about bending them out. I usually do mine ever so much. I had a jig head made the same time all the rest of us made. Just round ball heads. That's other than the ones you sent me, that's about all I use. I was missing fish, just a lot of fish. And I reeled it up and I looked at it and it was bent out a lot further than I bent it out. So I bent it back. It felt like it was, okay. I caught a fish on it. Then I miss. Reeled up, is bent out again. The metal in it was so weak that every time you catch fish, it had bend that hook out. And it took me about 3 times like that before I finally decided, screw this, I'm putting another jig on it, and I ended the problem. Most of the time when you get one bending like that, you're hung up on something and it breaks loose and it bends the hook. This in here, if you caught a fish on it, it's just a weak hook, but you caught a fish on it, it bended out. I guess you're probably lucky that I got any of the fish in. But when you stick them to the top of the head or the top lip, most of the time you get them in.
Light hooks and heavy wired hooks, they have their place for both of them. in a lot of different situations. If you're fishing into and deep, like heavy brush and structure, you're going to want a light wire hook so you can get it to bend. A light wire hook, you're not going to really lose the hardness of the hook as much because there really isn't that much to it.
Right.
You'll be able to bend that hook out and get it back in. But yeah, absolutely. If you're bending that hook in and out, or the fish are bending it in and out too much, it's eventually going to give. It's going to break. So you want to keep that in mind.
If you're having fish get off consistently, you better check that because there's a problem there.
John Boy says, were you fishing a spinning rod and reel, Lyle?
I was. In fact, when I go down there, I take 4 or 5 rods with stuff set up on them ready to fish. And that way I know if one particular bait is working better than the others. Because if I get hung up and I break off, or if they're not working, I just, instead of tying something else on, I just grab another rod and throw that out. If that don't work, I grab the next one. But what usually happens is I'll break off 2 or 3 and use the others trying to catch fish. And if I stop catching fish, then I go back and tie on a couple of whatever's been working, which has been the pink and the blue and that mini.
Yeah, I've been when I've been going out in my boat, I've been setting up 4 rods for crappie or panfish or whatever I'm going, just to have them there, because I've broke them off many times, or that's just not what I want to use. I'll usually go with, a 16th ounce setup or 1/16th ounce jig head setup and a 1/32, and I'll tie like one of each in the same setup. Like if I'm using a double hook rig, I'll have 2 set up at the 2 different weights, and then I'll have like 2 brabber rods set up as well at both of those weights, and that's usually a good place to start. But I've had 4 rods in a boat all set up and rigged up, and I've had to retie again because I did exactly like you did. I changed it and the bite stopped. I went back to where I was at the beginning, and we were back in business. What's up, Paul? How you doing? P&B Catfishing in the house. So.
I will tell you another thing that's worked really good, and I tried this floating over top of that brush pile to keep from getting hung up in it. And once you figure out the depth so you don't get hung up in it, and you catch fish like this, is a float with a jig underneath of it. And for this particular area, it was about 2.5 foot. And as the wind cast to where the wind's going to blow it across that brush pile. And they'll come up and get it. And it's not as hot a bite as the way I was been catching. But you got to know if they're in that brush pile.
Yep.
And there is some in there, but the majority of the ones I catch are away from it a little bit, and the bigger ones are out in deeper water and away from it. So far.
Just because you're catching a bunch of fish, like a bunch of 7 and 8 inch fish, doesn't mean that the bigger ones aren't there. Usually they stick pretty close together, but if you got a good piece of structure you're fishing, that's when you get multiple year classes on there. So you definitely want to snoop around a little bit with a search bait. And for me, using a float's kind of the way to go. And just because you're under a float doesn't mean you can't move that bait. Once you learn that a constant retrieve is so slow it's painful almost.
It
is. Or a retrieve stop. What that'll do is cause that bait to swing up and down. You can figure out if they want it on a drop or not that way. That's always a good way to start. 100%. Hey, there's 205 Wild Action channel supporter. What's going on?
That's funny, Mark. I like that.
Mark says 4 rods. You guys must have Chad Fields money.
I love it.
Don't tell Chad. We just put him on his credit card when we buy him. That's all.
That's right. That's right.
Chrissy says she's cleaned a lot of fish. Good for you, Chrissy. Oh, Chrissy and Ernie have Ernie's game cam on late at night over on Ernie's channel.
Right.
If you guys want to help him get some watch hours, you can always go over there and watch the deer come in, and I'll go in there late at night and start that sucker up, and boom, there's deer out there. Some pretty nice ones, a couple of 8-pointers we've seen out there and such. So make sure you check that out. Hopefully Ernie will get on them right away.
John boys, I have been using 4-pound line. And I've got several different kinds. I tried some of this vicious, and it's not bad. I tried some of that Mr. Crappie line. I don't care for it at all. It just knots up terribly. I don't have any desire to get by anymore yet. This works pretty good, but it's hard to beat that Berkley Trilene.
I use a lot of Sufix Elite mono for my
We don't have
crappies.
it. I can't find anybody that's got it.
Well, there's something called the internet, Lyle. You know how
Yeah,
to
I know.
text. You can use the internet. Well, I'll walk you through it. We'll get the credit card out, and we'll order you
No.
a 500-pound spool after the show.
No, I don't think we're going to do that. But 4 pound is. I have some reels that come with 6 pound line on, and to start with, the line that comes on a new reel has got to be the cheapest crap ever made. I don't know what brand it is. Don't care because I'd never buy it, but it's just horrible. And I'll use it for a little bit, and then I'll spool it up with new line. 6 pound line is it's not too heavy for crappie fish, but the action you get on 4 pound is way better. And if I was good enough to use 2 pound, I'd probably use that, but I've never tried that. I'm to be quite honest, I'm a little afraid of it. I like to boat flip them, and unless it's a big fish, and then I lay down on my belly, reach down there and pick them up. You know, but
I really
it'll
like
work.
4 pound too as well, Lyle. I like it a lot. The only thing is I've been using a lot of 6 pound because I kind of use all the rods I have in the boat for different purposes. And a 6 pound line works really well when you're long lining, because if you're going right along the top of weeds and stuff, that's extra 2 pounds helps you get through them weeds a little better, and you're not losing stuff as much. So.
Yep, that's right.
Learned that the hard way. Chrissy Brown says, I can't watch Ernie clean fish. It's like watching John Parker clean them.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds funny.
Of course, referring to John Parker's video, cleaning fish. No offense made.
I haven't seen it. I need to go look that up.
And Chrissy says, of course, I can't field dress a deer. I guess that makes us even.
I guess. I'm guessing he can probably shoot one.
Yeah, he does pretty good.
No, Chrissy can probably shoot one.
I'm sure she can.
Yeah, I bet on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's painful to watch.
What? I guess I'll get down to that. Chrissy says, or Cindy says, how you doing, Cindy? Cindy says, someone has to pay for those credit cards.
That's right. Matt says 6 pound floral P line is what he uses, the mossy oak color. I'm a fan of clear colored fishing.
You know,
for crappie fishing. Now for catfishing, I like the fluorescent green and the orange real well, because you see a line jump a little better if you have to have light bite fish.
Now here's my take on fluoro. Fluoro makes great leader material as far as I'm concerned, but when you're casting fluoro, it's a little too stiff for my like. Well, now Josh is going to cut that too. The line is very stiff, and I'm not a big fan of that. So
no, I wouldn't be either. I like it pretty limp. I like my line limp. It's just, you know.
I thought you guys liked each other. Look what Josh says. It's always painful to watch Lyle.
I'm gonna let that slide this time.
Chrissy says, I've got the I've got a deer, and I held the biggest deer in the house until I got put on oxygen. But I am hitting the blind this year. You get
it, girl.
Don't let Ernie get in front of you for that. You want to read that, Lyle?
I don't understand it.
Greg says there was not many fish left, but he was entertained watching him do it. Need to watch it.
Oh, the fish cleaning. Okay. The fish cleaning. I was trying to figure out what he was talking about. Yeah. I need to go back and watch that.
Josh says fluorocarbon is crankbait line or leader line. I also use it for Texas rigging. Love you, Lyle.
Yeah, I can tell. Josh and I'll be doing Catfish Weekly by ourselves this week. Chad is working in Florida, of all places. And I told him he needed to go fishing while he was down there.
They're letting him in that state?
They might keep him. You never know.
Mm.
He'll probably end up coming back with a set of Mickey Mouse ears.
Maybe. Pink ones.
You never can tell.
You don't know.
That's
This
right.
day and age, you don't know.
You don't. That's for sure. But, you know, Chad has a really good job, and they send him all over the place. And I know sometimes he don't like to do it, but that's part of the deal with how he works and what he does. And you know, Florida would be all that bad.
You want to read that one?
Florida is awesome. It makes it look like the U.S. is peeing on Cuba. Well, I like that.
I try to get clear, but a lot of times they're out. I like P line in the smaller diameters. It's pretty limp.
I really like 4 pound. I'll tell you what, 4 pound casts so well with small weight jigs. And jigs is about all I crappie fish with. For one thing, some of the lakes that I have been frequenting does not allow minnows, even though some of the people that fish there are using them. If you use them, you're supposed to kill them, and they're not doing that. They're hiding them and doing everything. And they really need to watch out, because I was checked there the other day by a conservation agent. Of course, I'm not doing anything wrong, so I don't have to worry about it. But really nice guy. And most of them are, unless you're doing something wrong. Then it doesn't seem to matter what at all. But anyhow, I don't mind being checked. I really don't. I've been checked a lot over the years, and if you're not doing anything wrong, you got nothing to hide. We used to have a game warden up home that I'd fish 3 or 4 days a week, and he'd be out in his boat, and there's nobody else on the river but me, and he'd just pull up tight to me, and we'd sit there and shoot the shit for long time, because he has to make a stop, and I was the only one out there, and he'd ask me for my license. I said, God damn, Mike, you just checked me a week ago. I know, but I got to do it. That's how I do it. So,
I'm here. I need something to do. That's what
don't have. And we talk about fishing tournaments and whether the fish was biting and regulations and all kinds of stuff. He'd sit there for long, but like he told me, he says there's nobody else out here, and he says I got a job to do. So, he said, you're the one. And I said, well, pull on up here and give me a rope. And I'd just keep fishing. It didn't matter to me.
I haven't been checked in a long time, but the last time I got checked, I was sitting in some like this overgrown part of the river when I was bank fishing, just kind of laying low. I was actually just sitting there, and out of nowhere behind me, I thought someone was coming to mug me, Lyle, because it wasn't in a great part of town. There was Mr. Green Jeans behind me. I was like, you got to be kidding me. He goes, yeah, I saw you on the other side of the river. I had to drive 5 miles to get around the river to come and see you. I'm like, all right. I go, I ain't hiding from you. I'm just fishing. He says, I know. It wasn't a part. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Just don't do anything illegal and you'll be fine. And know the laws and the regulations and you'll be okay. I'm not going to read that, Matt. That's because Josh will cut it for some reason. So how many lakes have you been fishing over there, Lyle?
About 5.
5 of them?
Yeah.
And how do you pick one to go to for, let's say, tomorrow, when you go to fish? What are you going to think?
There for a while, I was going just because I hadn't been to some of them.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm going to the ones where the fish are biting, that I know that they're biting, because I like to eat fish. I like to eat fish a lot. But I don't like to clean them, so if I can clean a mess, I'm usually pretty happy. But I found one here a while back and I think I told you about this, that's in an equestrian area where they Missouri Department of Conservation has a big place for trail riding people and horses, and they have a lake down at the bottom of a big old hill, and it's big enough I can launch my boat. The lake's very small, and it's loaded with fish. I've caught some 10.5, 11-inch crappie out of there, and some 3/4 pound bluegill. It has a dock on it, and it's a short walk. I mean, I'm talking about a short walk. I'm talking about 40, 50 yards from where you park your vehicle to the dock down the runway. And you can fish off the dock. You can put your boat in. You can, if you want to walk through the weeds, you can do that and fish from the bank. I don't choose to do that. But it was been very productive for a while. Now, the last time I was down there, it wasn't quite as good. But like I say, 10.5, 11-inch crappie come out there, and 3/4 pound bluegill. That's pretty good stuff. But I think it'll get better, and I think a lot of that. There's people have bass boats that put in there. There's a few people that actually fish the dock, but not very many. If you go down there through the week, you hardly ever see anybody. But I had my boat in there here a while back, and when I did, people was riding horses around the lake. They got trails all through this thing, and I heard them talking, and what the hell? There ain't no houses around here. I mean, we're down the hole. No phone signal, of course. You couldn't go live down there or do a show or anything down there. But I kept hearing these people talking. They kept getting louder and louder. They're horseback. And sure enough, pretty soon here they come with them hay burners running right on by. And they was just having a big time. And they got, I'm guessing 100 places or more that you could tie up and with big horse trailers with camping facilities in them and tie up. And of course, you have to bring your own generator and tie your horses off, and all the amenities. It's just really nice place, but
Sounds like it.
It's not a big fished area because it's equestrian area, and I don't think it's abused like some of the other areas.
Matt says, Mr. Lyle, have you tried using a nip setup for crappie on a fly rod?
I have not. And I could do that.
Dock roof with that for sure.
Oh, we can't have that on video, no matter what.
Speaking of dock roofs, Parker says all those fishing lessons from Dockery is paying off for Lyle.
Yeah, James seems to think that I need to go ice fishing with him, and I'm thinking, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think I can do that.
John Boy says, here in Arkansas, I got my lifetime license for $10.50. Right on.
Wow. That's a good deal. I think when I looked into that in Missouri, it was like $350. And if I should have probably done that, would have probably been as cheaper than buying yearly license. I never minded buying fishing license. I really didn't, because that money gets used for the sturgeon deal, or regulations on the lakes, or studies on how many rabbits eat squirrel doo-doo. Whatever it is they decide they need to figure out, that's what that money gets spent for. And I never minded that at all, because I know how much time and effort they put into making some of the catfish regulations, and they buy property and these fishing lakes and stuff like that. I don't mind fishing license, hunting license, anything like that. I don't mind that at all. I just pay it and go on.
Mark Barnum says $65 for a lifetime in Iowa.
Very cheap.
Since we're talking lifetime, if you've in one, whether it's a state where it's cheap or one that's expensive, what I've seen people do in the past is they've bought their kids or their grandkids lifetime fishing licenses for Christmas. Now tell me that isn't an awesome gift.
That is an awesome gift.
That kid's never going to have to buy one. If you can afford it and you have someone that you love enough in your family to do something for that's a young person, that's probably one of the best things you can do for them. You're buying them a lifetime of fun and good times for sure.
Absolutely. And especially if he gets hooked on it at an early age, it's money well spent.
Even if he, life gets busy and he doesn't fish as much, he can always come back because he's always got that license in his pocket. Matt says, if you go ice fishing with Dockery, I'll go with you, Mr. Lyle. I figure it would take 2 to get him in the water to find the fish.
I guarantee you, Doctor knows where them fish are at. You don't have to worry about that. He knows where they're at.
He can smell them. Mark Barnum says you have to be 65 to buy a lifetime. Okay.
Yeah, in Missouri at 65, you don't have to buy no more license if you don't want to.
I think we have senior discounts here. I don't think it's free, but I think it's a lot cheaper, so that's a good thing.
I was really nervous the first time I got checked. Was fishing, I believe it was, I don't remember, one of those lakes. And I'm sitting out there, and they pulled in a boat and come over and checked me. And I said, I've always been told when you turn 65, you don't have to have a fishing license. He said, that is correct, but you have to have identification. I said, well, I got it in the truck. So I walked up there and got my driver's license. He said, you're good to go. I said, man, I was a little nervous about that because what if I was wrong about that? He said, well,
did I read that right? He says you got to be 65 in Arkansas to get a life.
To get a lifetime?
Yeah, and it's 65 in Arkansas as well.
Well,
maybe just for that price. I don't know. We'd have to look into it.
You can get them at any age for Missouri, so that would, like you said, but your age determines the cost of it, or it did. Now I haven't looked into that in a long time, but it used to. But yeah, if you bought a kid a hunting or fishing license lifetime thing, that'd be a great gift. And if they turned out to be the next Babe Winkleman or something, that'd be even better.
You never know.
You don't know.
Heather says, but you're old. I don't get it. I don't know if she's talking to you or me.
I would guess it's Mark Barnum.
Oh,
I don't know.
Lyle, my license is $5.50 a year. That is freshwater, saltwater, deer, turkey, everything but duck. Yeah, them duck licenses are different.
Yeah, they are. Well, that's cheap. That's cheap. I don't know how they can. Well, they all could do that at that price if they wanted to. They just don't.
Matt says they give you a hard card, don't they, Mr. Lyle? For the lifetime?
I don't know. I don't have a lifetime. I say I'm 65, so I don't have to buy them.
I have a hard card for Wisconsin. Illinois still doesn't use that technology. They're busy putting that money in their pocket, Lyle. Did I say that out loud?
It's true, though.
Oh, she's talking about you, Lyle.
Oh. Well, I was hoping I was wrong about that.
So you got anything else for us, buddy?
I don't. I will say one thing. If you fish the docks, and if your state or your area has conservation lakes, you should be fishing those because they're a lot of fun. You don't have to go out on a boat every time to have a good time. They keep these lakes full of fish. They make them to use for retired folks and people with disabilities and kids. There's tons of fish to fish on those. You don't always catch big ones, and that's okay. You're still out there having a good time, and you can get in the shade if you want to, if it's really hot. Utilize what your state offers you and go fish. I mean, you might have 100-day tomorrow. You just don't know.
Never know. That's a great way to end it. Mark Barnum says you got to pay $5 for a hard card. And look at this, lifetime hunting license for $10.50. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. God bless everybody. Keep your heads on a swivel, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Have a good one, folks. Bye-bye.